Hello everybody, I am Fuzzy Face and welcome back today for round 4 in this series of Williams the Resurrection, this playthrough we're doing on Motorsport Manager once again. We're back today, we've got the Portuguese Grand Prix coming up. It looks like it's going to be a pretty rainy race. Lance Stroll is still injured, so Robert Kubica, like he did for the last race, he's going to be going into that seat. He's got his last chance to impress if he can score points, and he's going to be keeping that seat. See, if not, Lance Stroll is going to be coming back in because he gives us £891,000 per race. So that is what we're going to be doing. It is round 4, which means we can introduce upgrades for the first time this season. We haven't made any massive leaps forward. We've got new front wings going into the car. The car that Robert Kubica will be driving will be now a 780 for the front wing, a 742 for Sergei's car. Whereas the rear wing, this one's still a little bit risky, whether it will get to the end of the race or not without having to repair it. But we might as well risk it with Sergei's car because he's not going to be in the points otherwise. Meanwhile, we've got this one that's a little bit more reliable going into the car of Robert, Lance Stroll's car at the moment. 722 there, no massive leaps forward. It has taken us off the bottom though. We do now have a better front wing than the Sauber car, and our rear wing, even with the upgrade, is still the worst rated overall. So we've still got some problems there, no massive changes. Hopefully it's enough to sort of move us up the order a little bit. We've been doing quite well over the last few races. Not scoring points though. A 12th from Kubica and a 16th from Sorokin there. The rain sort of messed us up in the last race. We seemed to be going quite well with the strategy that we were running, but it didn't work out. As you can see, it said it was going to be sunny for the race, but we did get some rain late on. And in my stupidity, forgot to check the weather because I thought it was just going to be a sunny race in China. Didn't turn out to be that way, so we had to come in for intermediates late on, which sort of messed up our order where we would be. The race before that was another 12th and 16th, Sorokin finishing 12th, and in Sydney another 12th, Sorokin a little bit higher up that time, 14th. So hopefully the couple of little upgrades might push us towards the points. We've not been massively off the points position. Point is something we do need to get though, because Renault are having a nightmare this season, but I'm guessing they'll get their act together later on in the season. But we need to catch Sauber. Toro Rosso might score more points. They seem to have a little bit more upwards mobility. They've scored points in 2 races, but Sauber, Leclerc and Ericsson in that car. Leclerc, a very good driver, my favourite driver. I usually have him in all my Motorsport Manager saves. I don't know if I'm going to have him in this Williams save or not because it gets a little bit redundant be having him every time. But the Sauber car seems to be more in line with ours. They do struggle, although they have come close to scoring points a couple of times after that. But anyway, we've got a vote coming up, which is for the removal of the Phoenix Grand Prix. We do have 2 Phoenix Grand Prix on the calendar. We do have one near the end of the season, which is the long style of the circuit. And then, just for fun, I added in the oval circuit at the end of the season. It doesn't actually say which one we're actually voting on for removal. This one is track layout B, this one is track layout A, so let's just go ahead. We're going to just abstain from the vote, but we'll show how it goes. It doesn't still actually say which one, and it's going to be the long style track which could be removed, but we'll just abstain. We'll see how everyone votes and votes for. So it's going to be removed from next season, so we're going to be down to 16 races next season, and the only United States Grand Prix we're going to have is the oval track next season. So removal of the Phoenix Grand Prix for some reason. I should have actually voted for against that, shouldn't I? We would have tied the vote, although it probably would have been voted out anyway. We do have the new gearbox. We can introduce power upgrades from Vancouver, so we're starting to get going on a gearbox build now, and the gearbox is a 773. You can get that up to an 803. So can we get another gearbox built in time, because there is a big gain here with a 40, and that's risky, which we can do for the end of the season, but this one gets us up to an 838. So should we go ahead and build that 14 days after this race, which would take us all the way to South Africa to the Cape Town Grand Prix, and then we'll easily get that done in time for then? Or should we go for another engine build? There's only a +10 available and a +30, 12 days after the race. The engine at the moment is 5th. We want to keep it above Sauber, and the gearbox, that gearbox gets us up to a 9th, although we might already be at a 9th from the sort of what we're doing at the moment. So we'll try another gearbox. Maybe that is where we can gain. So let's get on. We should be heading towards the race now. Server problems. We have some work being done on our data center and networking capabilities at the moment, and the technicians have found that our data storage is a bit out of date. The chairman caught wind of it and now he wants to upgrade. So we can either have the chairman be even unhappy with us. Lance Stroll has already upset him, so we don't really want that. So we're going to spend the $500,000. We've got a lot in the bank account, although we do need to keep quite a lot of that back, because I'm guessing it's going to cost about £80 million to build the new car at the end of the season. Somewhere around that level. So I'll be jumping in. So we're going to leave Lance Stroll at home because he's still injured. There's no real benefits to having any of these sponsors over the others, and I do usually take more soft tyres. Only due to qualifying, we need at least 3 sets in qualifying and a couple for practice, and he's unsure because it isn't actually his car. So we're going to jump in as usual, run practice qualifying off camera, and we'll be back in a moment to go through the grid lineup. Right, so here's the grid for the 2018 Portuguese Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel on pole once again, closely followed by Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes. He's improved. He's been pretty low down the order in the previous races, but a decent improvement for Valtteri Bottas here. His teammate Lewis Hamilton follows him in 3rd place, and Max Verstappen rounds out the 2nd row of the grid in 4th place in the Red Bull. Fernando Alonso gets ahead of Daniel Ricciardo on the grid in 5th. Ricciardo then 6th, Kimi Raikkonen in 7th, Nico Hülkenberg in 8th, and the top 10 is rounded out by Carlos Sainz in the Renault. They do seem to qualify pretty decently but fall away during the race, so hopefully that happens again and they don't move above us in the constructors. Roman Grosjean in 10th place, the first appearance for Haas, and they're followed by Magnussen as well in 11th. Sergio Perez in 12th, Esteban Ocon in 13th, and here we go, Robert Kubica up into 14th. Both our cars were like 18th, 20th all the way through qualifying, but Robert Kubica, whether it's to do with the new Aero upgrade or whether he just put in an absolutely outstanding lap, he managed to move himself up from 19th up to 14th on his last lap in qualifying, so a decent performance from him. Brendan Hartley in the Toro Rosso 15th, McLaren 16th, Charles Leclerc, what we like to see, in the Alfa 17th, the other Toro Rosso 18th of Pierre Gasly, Sergei Sorokin in 19th, down the order like usual, and then Sauber last as well, which is good for us to see Toro Rosso and Sauber down the order, which is what we want. We don't really want them scoring points, but Tondela is going to be a wet race here coming up. The rain is due to hit around lap 10-ish, 11-ish, which is what it looks like. Sorokin couldn't get a... just pause for a second as we go through this. Sorokin couldn't make a medium tyre last, really. He's 11 laps, really, possibly would get through that. The weather is quite hot, so he's had to start on a hard tyre to try and make himself be able to last to around lap 10. Kubica, though, can get around... it said 13... this one 12, but yeah, it's because he started on it. He can usually get around 2 more laps out of a tyre than Sorokin, which is a good thing to have. He can get that medium tyre through to the rain. How long the rain's going to last, we don't know yet. And we've also started, we've got this because we need to conserve, sort of. We've got a dodgy rear wing, so we don't really want to be pushing the car too much. So we started Sorokin as a test. He's 3 laps down on fuel at the start of the race. If we run in medium mode all the way through the race, we will be able to recover that by the end of the race. So just see what we can get out of this. Per lap, you can, I think it was almost 0.2 of a second you can get for being a lap down. So it does give him a boost from the start of the race, being 0.6 quicker, having the lower fuel load. Whether that works out for him during this race. But anyway, let's get on with the start here. Kubica, a pretty slow start, but he's managed to hold up the other cars behind him. Although Van Dorn is making a move. The Toro Rosso, we've got one of the Force Indias running wide as well. So Kubica and Sorokin in 15th and 16th here. Sorokin looking pretty quick with the fuel load the way it is. He's behind the Toro Rosso of Gasly at the moment. Kubica, though, coming back at him. Kubica, obviously, we can have him push. So whether the pushing negates the lower fuel load, we'll be able to see whether that works during the race. And that's one of the Saubers getting past Sorokin there as well. That's Charles Leclerc getting past. Although battling away, Sorokin gets back past him. Leclerc gets back past him as we go around the final corner down the pit straight. And we've got Kubica moving up into... no, he doesn't manage to get past Pierre Gasly here. We're sort of going to have to watch these tyres as well, because we don't want them running out before we hit this rain, and it looks like it's going to get pretty wet as well from lap 16. So are we going to get full rain? Yes, we are going to get full rain. So it looks like the track is going to get really wet as well, so we might have to do an in to stop and then a stop for wets as well. But Sorokin, though, down in 90th. His tyres getting pretty cold. We can actually push these tyres a little bit, can't we? Because they're a hard tyre. They can go to lap 14. Although, could we wait and get him in for wet tyres? It doesn't like the lap after that is going to be as wet. So it looks like inters are going to be the sensible choice here. Kubica 15th, falling behind. He's about a second behind Pierre Gasly now. We're sort of going to have to sort of watch these fuels. A lot of the other cars have dialed back on what they're doing. We can still push the fuel as it is. We're trying to get some heat in these tyres as Sorokin. These hard tyres not warming up at all, even though the weather is pretty hot at 24 degrees. What sort of lap times are we doing? A 124.6 for Sorokin, 125 for Kubica. Yeah, so we're just sort of making this strategy sort of stick at the moment as we want to do. We just want to sort of see what we can get out of the rain coming. We've got a lot of these cars, so everyone else seems to start on soft tyres, the AIR cars, so they're going to have to stop once before the rain actually comes. Oh, and if you look at that, there's going to be wet, a fully wet track it seems from about lap 20. So yeah, we're going to get about 8 laps on the intermediate tyre before we have to move on to the wets. We've got Leclerc coming back at Kubica as well. Sorokin struggling to get past. Brendan Hartley in front of him is under pressure from Marcus Ericsson as well. So really struggling here. We're just sort of recovering fuel. We'll sort of give up on Sorokin on this one. He's not our main focus. Kubica's our main focus. He's the one we can get up into the points, and as we see, we've got Gasly coming to the pits already. He's absolutely blown through that soft tyre, 19% already. Can we sort of make a move, stick on him before he gets into the pits? We want to sort of push and get out ahead of him as he comes in the pits, and then we make that move early. We're in a decent position as we hit that last corner. We move up into 14th. Both Toro Rossos into the pits there, so they look to be out of this race already. They're not going to make those softs. It looks like all these other cars might make these softs last. It might. Oh, it looks like the wet weather's only going to last for about a lap or two as well. So it looks like it's going to be inters as the weather drops away. Yes, it's going to be one stint on inters, and then we might be able to finish the race on another set of mediums or even a soft tyre towards the end of the race. So I don't think much is going to be happening. We've got Sorokin up into 18th. It looks like it's about 20 seconds for a pit stop here. So let's just speed this thing up a little bit and see if we can see when the rain's coming. We're at 53%. A lot of these other cars, they might have to pit a lap or two early because the soft tyres will drop away. And there we see a lot of these other cars now hitting the pits. That's one of the Renaults. That's the Sauber of Charles Leclerc. Oh, and we've got a safety car leaving the garage, which is just not what we wanted really, because it's going to bunch up the field. Lap 8, when's the rain coming? Can we get in for this inter tyre? How long is this safety car going to be out? So let's just have a look. We're going to be doing a couple of laps behind the safety car. It's going to slow down the time as well. So should we get one of our cars into the pits? Just try and see if we can make this work. Yeah, a lot of these other cars are going to get onto the inters early. So what we thought, once again, was going to be worked out due to our strategy has sort of been negated once again. Pretty much due to this inter, although we will have moved up a few places because a lot of these other cars that have pitted will have to come in for the inters as well. So we're going to get on the inters because it looks like it's going to be raining by the time the safety car comes in. It's going to help out Sorokin a little bit. We've had an issue with the front jack on Kubica's car as well. He's out into 13th behind. We didn't really lose any position, so Hulkenberg does have to pit again though. I think the pit stop might have slowed down Sorokin though, Kubica's mistake. So we're just going to have to form up behind the safety car here. There's one lap remaining. We're 13th, 15th. Sainz needs to come in to change his tyre. Perez as well. Verstappen as well is out on a fresh pair of softs. So we could still pick up a few places here. Brendan Hartley, Charles Leclerc needs to pit as well. Are they going to be able to make a move? Safety car is heading to the garage this lap. So we've recovered the fuel with Kubica as well, so we might as well get pushing in overtake mode on him. 17 laps about to recover this. We'll go in high mode for a little bit with Sorokin as we get ready for this safety car to go into the pits. And there, the rain's starting just as the safety car comes in. And Robert Kubica makes a brilliant move. He's getting on the back of the Ferraris up into 7th. He gets past Raikkonen as well, makes a move on Fernando Alonso. Past the Red Bull of Daniel Ricciardo as well. Excellent move from Kubica there, showing some of his pure racing speed. Although he's under pressure, and he's on the back of the two Mercedes now, so an absolutely brilliant move from Robert Kubica. So Sorokin, meanwhile, is 13th. Not doing too badly, 12th as well, as he jumps past Magnussen. It was Van Dorn who crashed as well in the McLaren, so Kubica there making an absolutely brilliant move. We're just going to wait and see. What's this? Lap 24 about for these tyres. We need to be able to do about 13 laps on them. They can do 14, so if we don't push these too much, we can get them through, and this looks like we could be in prime position for scoring points in this and moving ourselves up above Sauber and Toro Rosso in the points. Are they anywhere near here? No, Kubica's moving down the order. No, what's that? Oh, we've got cars in the pits. And that's what's making that. I thought we'd lost a couple of places there, but I thought Alonso and Raikkonen were nowhere near us. Sorokin, meanwhile, is fighting here. He's going to lose a place as he's on the inside. Can he keep that place over Pierre Gasly? Is looking to get the Toro Rosso into the points. No, he can't. And we're going to have to go back to conserving fuel with Sergei Sorokin. But Kubica's holding up here. 125.5s. He's lapping a lot quicker than these cars below him. Holding up with these cars at the top of the grid. So this looks like it's going to secure Kubica's seat in this car. We're not going to be able to give that seat back to Lance Stroll after such a great performance such as this one. If he can keep himself going up into the points, hopefully we don't mess up on strategy or anything like that, as we sort of just manage this race for Kubica. Sorokin's just outside the points. I don't think there's any way we're going to be able to move him up a few cars. We've got one Sauber in the points, but if we can score these sort of points that Kubica's up in the moment, even if he drops down into a 7th, 6th place, but it looks like he's been able to hold his own here on these wet tyres. I don't think he's got any boost to be in a wet tyre racing motorbike's hard work or rock solid. No, he doesn't have any boost to his stats under wet weather. He's just seemingly had a bunch of good luck, just raw race paces. He's done a 124, still lapping. And we see some of these other cars starting to lap a bit quicker now. So what have we done? A 124.4, 124.7. Yeah, we're still up there. We see the other cars trying to push what they're doing. The weather is still pretty hot. There he is. It's going to cool down as the rain stops. It's a little bit strange, but we'll see if we can push here, try and open up a little bit more of a gap, see what sort of lap time we can do if we push the engine all out. We come across the line and we'll switch back down to high mode for a little bit now. We did a 124.7, not much of an increase, but we're still lapping about a second quicker than the McLaren and the Ferrari behind us, which is good news for us. Now we've got that little bit of a gap going in front. Obviously we're not going to be able to catch the two Mercedes in front of us, and Vettel's pulling out a gap of 3 seconds in front. So Rocky, meanwhile, as we move back to him, he's got 1.4 to sort of recover. 18 laps to go. Yeah, whether he can get up into the points with his pit stop or not remains to be seen, but we're just concentrating on Kubica now. He's got 2 seconds almost back to the McLaren of Fernando Alonso. This track is going to get really wet in a couple of laps times, but we're just going to make this intermediate try and stick as long as we can, although it is seemingly wearing away pretty quick, although it's wearing away as well for a lot of the other drivers. We've only done 7 laps on it so far, although I think you can take the inters down to pretty much threadbare to around 10% before they lose performance. So we're not going to pit early, even if we see some of the AI teams do that. We're going to try stay out as long as we can on this inter tyre. We might even see some of these try and risk a wet tyre, which obviously isn't going to work, as the I don't know if we will see the AI risk a wet tyre. So Rockin's starting to drop down the order now. His tyre is wearing away a little bit more quickly, as you can see, than Robert Kubica, so we might need to move him onto a dry tyre earlier, although we get the rain in full effect now. The track is going to start to get really wet. We've got a nice 3-second gap now back to Kimi Räikkönen and Ricciardo Alonso starting to drop down the order. So our tyres are at 36%, 38 for the Ferrari. What are we at for Alonso? 43. So they're doing a pretty good job at looking after these tyres. So maybe we'll run in conserve mode now. These are pretty at a nice temperature. We can let it drop down to around here. So hopefully we can hold on to these tyres. What do we get? Sorokin is falling down the order here. Even though he's up, he's not having the best of races. Sorokin. Kubica's form is around equal, but Kubica, considering his form's just about average, he's doing really well here, up into 4th place still. Still got this 3-second gap over the Ferrari of Kimi Räikkönen, saying his tyres are warm, but we're going to push on these tyres as the weather gets really wet now. Yes, we know you want to pit for fresh tyres. There's nothing we can do about it. You're just going to have to stay out as long as you can, Sorokin. We're not going to go for that extra pit stop. We don't want to have an extra pit stop. Although, if we could do it, get in early. There are 12 laps left. We're going to lose so much time over these. But we do have a lot of cars coming in for more inters, even though the rain has stopped now. As we see, the track is drying up pretty quickly. I think you can get these down to around 10%. As we can see, a lot of these AI cars going for the inters here. So, looks pretty good for what we're going to be able to do here. Kubica's still going round another lap. We're not going to pit him. Should we get Sorokin in early, because his tyres are a little bit more worn? No, we'll keep him out for another lap as well. And as we see, a lot of these cars now are going to hit the pits. Although we're not really losing performance. We've lost a little bit of performance in the time, and that's just because of the track drying up, I think. So let's have a look. We've got 11 laps remaining. It's a little bit hard pushed for Sorokin to do it on either of these tyres, but we'll risk it. Or should we go for the hard? What is the state of this rear wing? 39%. It's holding up pretty well, considering. So should we go for this one and push on this tyre? Go for all reds to the end of the race. Just take a little bit of a risk with Sorokin, because we know we've got Kubica in the points, so it doesn't really matter about Sorokin's performance. So we'll go for the hard tyre and try and really push that. Whereas we've got Kubica now going round for another lap, and we need to sort of recover this fuel as well. So we'll push him, even though it might wear out these tyres. He can comfortably do it on the mediums as well, so he's coming in for these medium tyres. So let's just see what we can get here. Sorokin's in for his hard tyres, his final pit stop of the race. He comes back out into 19th. So we've got a lot of cars on inters that really shouldn't be. The track is not fully dry yet, though. Is it going to lose us any time over these cars? What are we doing this? We did a 126. So we're into the pits. A lot of the other cars into the pits. So it is Verstappen that we are measuring ourselves against here. He's the one that we're going to try keep up with and catch. Ocon, Perez. That's Perez behind us, who's still yet to pit. We've got Verstappen in front. Can we sort of make up any time to these if we push? We don't have the fuel to push at the moment. So the Inters do look like the better tyre at the moment. But we should be able to catch Verstappen and get past him. Yes, we can. So we're still in 4th place. Everyone's made these tyre changes. Perez still out on a pair of Inters for some reason. He's making those go a long way towards the end of the race. While Sorokin, meanwhile, he's in 19th, not having the best of races. He did a 120. What's he going to be able to do on this next lap? He's done a 124.8. Won't be able to see what he's doing until we get some laps done from all these other cars that have pitted. And there we see Perez finally into the pits. We've got a 1.4, it's going to be close. If Kubica can hold on to this 4th place, it's going to be amazing. A 122.5. Sorokin really saw a 124.8. Even though we got him pushing the tyres a little bit more. The AI is going all out on these medium tyres. We're going to hold back on these. Towards the end of the race, we're going to be able to up our performance. Whereas the Red Bulls and Force Indias, they're going to have to start dialing back towards the end of the race. Although they are pushing their fuel as well. We're going to see Ricciardo. So we're going to have to go attack mode. We're going to try and keep Ricciardo behind us. He's under pressure as well from Esteban Ocon. Ocon gets past him in the Force India. But it looks like the worst we can do this race is a 6, which would be a really good result. If we can hold on a 4th somehow, that is going to be absolutely amazing. These tyres getting hot for Sorokin. We're not going to be able to do much with him at all. These are the cars that pitted as well. So let's see where we've got Leclerc, 15th. Where is Ericsson? Ericsson? Can't even see him. 13th. So they're out of the points as well, which is good for us. We're under pressure from the Force India of Esteban Ocon and Daniel Ricciardo. Might be able to hold on to this. We'll dial back now as we see the AI cars dialing back as well. We might have to go low mode before the end of the race to recover this fuel. We've really pushed the engine of this car, but everything's holding up other than the front wing, which we need to sort of upgrade. But we're sort of going to push towards the power upgrades that we've got coming for the car in 2 races time. We've got 1 race after this. I can't remember which race it is, but then we've got Canada, where we can introduce a new gearbox. Esteban Ocon trying to make this move for 4th place. Have we got room with this tyre as well? We've got room with the tyre, so let's try and keep ahead of him. Just going to have to push his tyre. We've got Verstappen coming back and Ricciardo coming back as well. Alonso, what are we going to finish here? going to be hard pressed here to keep hold of this place going in towards the end. And we'll just dial back with Sorokin, make sure he can get through to the end of the race. We're not going to see any improvement over his last place finish. So maybe it's going to be a battle between Sorokin and, well, just wait a minute, we've got Daniel Ricciardo fighting here. Let's go push mode. I think we can be able to get these tyres through to the end of the race. Ricciardo drops off on the straight though. They seem to hold off on the straights. He's going all out on this tyre. What's his tyre at? 44%. So our tyre wear is doing a little bit better. Oh, Ricciardo has crashed. Ricciardo has gone off into the wall in a cloud of smoke, which is good for us now because Ocon is 2 seconds back. 2 seconds back is Ocon now, so let's just hold on to these tyres and we'll push if we come under pressure. And we might as well go low mode as well for a lap. See what that does. 1.8, 1.1, and that is Alonso who is pushing his car. A panel just came off the front wing, but it's going to be able to easily get to the end of the race. So that might be all we needed to do going into low mode on the fuel. Sorokin meanwhile has recovered this fuel. It didn't really work out going low on the fuel load for him. 17th place, and we've had Bottas crash as well, which puts, where did he go off the track? We didn't even get to see that. Has he just retired? No, Ericsson's retired. He just crashed. So that moves Kubica up onto the podium. Somehow, we are now in position to have a podium finish with Robert Kubica. Somehow. Sorokin's still down in last place of the cars that haven't retired or crashed. Coming up, 2 laps remaining. We do have life in the tyre over Ocon to push 7%, which would allow us to push in the red if we need to. We're just going to hold on to it just in case these cars do start to come back. We're doing 122.4s. They're almost, no, they're not. They're actually slower than us, or around the same time. So it's looking like we might be able to hold on for this podium as we come around for the last couple of laps now. So we're going to go in overtake mode, make sure we can hold on to this. We'll have Sorokin push for this last lap. There's nothing that much he can do. He's a long way behind. 2 seconds behind the Toro Rossos in front of him. So what can we do is we hit this. Yeah, we know you've got worn tyres. Kubica's about to have worn tyres as well. So here we go on to the last lap for Robert Kubica. We'll follow him round. A long way down the road. 2.5 seconds back now is the McLaren. Are they pushing? No, they're not. We're lapping a lot quicker now. We're opening up a gap for a podium finish here for Robert Kubica. Sets a quickest final sector there. So what's he going to be able to do on this lap? He's lapping quicker than his last lap. We did a 121.6. Absolutely amazing race from Kubica if we can hold on to this. McLaren nowhere near. His tyres getting worn now, so we'll just dial everything back as we come around the last few corners. One last thing up into the left hand and then the last right hander across the finish line for Kubica. Oh, don't want to miss him finish. 3rd place for Robert Kubica, an absolute miracle somehow, which has sort of saved our skin because now we should have the points that are going to see us secure for the rest of the season now, and a 16th place. And that means we're going to be demoting Lance Stroll from this point forward. We're going to have to forego, or could we, because Kubica's done this, although we will be having, we can have Lance Stroll do practice, so at least get some of half of the money. That is something that we could do. But now that we're safe, could we just put Lance Stroll back in the car knowing that we're sort of safe because we've picked up 15 points from this race, having a podium finish? Can't quite believe that. And there we are, Robert Kubica on the podium. 38 seconds behind the leader, but Bottas crashing worked out for us. That puts Kubica 10th overall in the drivers' standings, and that puts us up to 7th. Look at that, we've got an 11-point gap now over Sauber. That's something that they shouldn't be getting over the rest of the season. Neither should Toro Rosso. Renault pick up their first points of the season, so that makes us safe. Makes us safe. Laura Gavina says, Williams F1, keep up the good work. Just an absolutely brilliant race there. 3rd place. It's not going to make him any happier though, because he's really upset at being the reserve driver at the moment. Obviously that is going to be changing for the next race. We only get £651,000 in, but if we have Lance Stroll do practices in future instead of Kubica, I don't know whether that would affect his race or not. Not sure. Let's just see what new. We've We've got a full pit crew as it is. We've got a scouting report on George Russell. 3 stars up to 4.5. Not as marketable as Sergei Sorokin. He could be someone we could bring. His Mercedes development driver. I couldn't think of the word there. He is with Art this season. Could we bring him into the team? Pretty good for overtaking. His focus is pretty good as well. Not the best on feedback, but he does have a high upside. But he's not a paid driver, which is something we need whilst we're developing this car. We've got an interview with Channel 4. Robert Kubica was beaten by Sebastian with 100 pulley in our driver. That makes Vettel upset with us. Not that we'd make a move for him anyway. There's no chance that he'd join us anyway. Almost half a second slower on the pit stops there. So we're going to make this move now. We're going to do it. We're going to promote Robert Kubica over Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll at some point might come in for Sorokin. So Lance Stroll, which one actually gives us more money? Pay driver. Sorokin gives us a little bit more money than Stroll, so that's why he's in the car. They both have the same upside. Sorokin, even with Lance Stroll without the injury, Sorokin's still a little bit more better. That's why he's about 1/4 of a star. So there we go. He's considering offers, so but hopefully we can make him happy. So he could be like either our main driver next season or the number 2 driver, depending on who we can make a move for at the end of the season. Lance Stroll's unhappy, but Kubica's happy. I'm happy that we've got some points on the board. Next time we do have Cape Town, we can't introduce any new upgrades, although I don't think these upgrades were a massive improvement. Whether they were, well, they weren't really the help, because as we saw, it didn't make any difference at all for Sorokin. It was just that amazing start from the restart from the safety car that moved Kubica up from outside the points all the way up into 4th place. Then Bottas crashing got him onto the podium. Absolutely brilliant for him. But anyway, that is it for this episode. An absolutely stormer of an episode to get a podium somehow with this Williams car. Absolutely amazing. It's sort of like Lance Stroll when he had that. What did he get? He got pretty high up, didn't he? Last season. But yeah, Kubica 3rd place, absolutely brilliant for him. We've got a gearbox working on that, will be introduced for the Vancouver race. I keep wanting to call it Montreal, but it's not Montreal, it's Vancouver here. It's going to be fully dry for that one. Is it going to be fully dry in South Africa? Just a little bit of rain for practice, nothing to do with there. But anyway, that is it. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook. I'm posting updates on there when I upload videos and whatnot, stuff like that. So anyway, until next time, I'll see you down the road in South Africa for the Cape Town Grand Prix, and goodbye.